guys. Welcome back to Minor Details, the podcast where no detail is too minor and the real life moments matter most. I'm your host, Jess Minor, and I'm so happy you're joining me today. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about how my life is now compared to where it was 10 years ago. And it got me thinking 10 years ago was 2016. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that 2016 wasn't just another year for me. It was the year. It was the year that completely changed the trajectory of my life. I know that sounds dramatic, but at the time, I didn't know it. But then again, I don't think most of us ever know we're living through the moments that will define us. We think life is just happening, and then one day we look back and we realize, wow, everything changed right there. So today, I want to take you back to 2016. I want to talk about the heartbreak, the uncertainty, becoming a mom, the dreams I had that never happened, and how all of those things somehow led me to living the life that I'm living today. Because if 2016 Jess could see 2026 Jess, I think she would be pretty shocked. In 2016, I was coming out of my first long term relationship. And I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but your first real heartbreak is different. It's the first time you've built a future with someone in your mind, and then suddenly that future disappears. I think when relationships end, we naturally focus on losing the other person. But looking back now, I think what I was really grieving was the life I thought I was going to have. I had imagined how things were going to go. I thought I knew what my future looked like, and then I didn't. What's funny is that even 10 years later, I'll occasionally have dreams about that season of my life. Sometimes it's the breakup itself. Sometimes it's conversations that never happened. Sometimes I'll wake up feeling like I'm right back in that moment. For a long time, I thought that meant something was unresolved. And if you know me, you know I'm the type of person that needs closure. But I don't really think that's true anymore. I don't miss that relationship. I don't wish things had worked out differently. I love the life I've built, and I love my husband so much. I think our brains just have a funny way of revisiting seasons that changed us. Because whether we like it or not, some moments leave fingerprints on us forever. Not because they still define us, but because they help shape who we became. Then later that same year, I found out I was pregnant with Chloe. Talk about another moment that completely shifted my world. If you had asked me what I thought my 20s were going to look like, becoming a mom probably wasn't at the top of my list. Suddenly, everything changed. My priorities changed, my goals changed, the way I viewed success changed, the things I worried about changed, and I had to grow up really quickly. And while there were definitely moments where I wondered, is this really how my story is going to go? I can honestly say now that becoming Chloe's mom was one of the greatest gifts God has ever given me. She didn't ruin my plans. She rewrote them. And looking back, I am so thankful that she did. It's funny because when you're living through change, it feels like your entire life is falling apart. But when you look back years later, you realize it wasn't falling apart, it was just falling into place. If that relationship hadn't ended, would I have gotten together with Patrick? Would I have the marriage I have today? Would I have Sunny? Would I have Cooper? Would I have had the confidence to share pieces of my life online? Would I have started therapy? Would I have celebrated sobriety? Would my relationship with God look the way it does today? I honestly don't know. But I do know that one decision, one season, one year created a domino effect that led me here. One thing I've realized over the last 10 years is that healing doesn't always mean forgetting. Sometimes healing simply means the memory no longer gets to make the decisions. I can look back at that younger version of myself with compassion. She was trying her best. She didn't know what was coming. She didn't know she'd someday marry someone who makes her feel so safe. She didn't know she'd become a mom to not just one, but three incredible kids. She didn't know she'd be sitting in front of a microphone recording a podcast. She didn't know she'd find so much joy in serving at church. She didn't know she'd eventually become comfortable sharing her life online, even if it felt a little cringy. She didn't know she'd survive everything she was so afraid of. And honestly, neither did I. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that life rarely unfolds the way we imagine. We spend so much time trying to control the timeline. We want the right job, the right relationship, the right opportunities, the perfect plan. But some of the biggest blessings in my life came wrapped in circumstances I never would have chosen. Heartbreak, unexpected change, fear, uncertainty, even things that felt unfair. And looking back now, I can see that God was working long before I could. So if you're listening to this and you're in your own 2016 right now, maybe you're grieving a relationship. Maybe your career isn't going the way you planned. Maybe you're becoming a parent before you expected. Maybe you're questioning everything. I just want to encourage you not to assume that this chapter is the whole story. Because 10 years from now, you might look back and realize this wasn't the chapter that ruined your life. It was the chapter that introduced you to it. So here's your minor detail for today. If I could go back and talk to the version of myself from 2016, I don't think I'd tell her how everything turns out. I think I would just hug her. I would tell her to keep going. I would tell her that not every ending is a loss. I'd tell her that one day she's going to have a life she's incredibly proud of. And not because it's perfect, but because it's hers. And I'd remind her that some of the biggest blessings begin disguised as the hardest seasons. It gets better. Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode of Minor Details. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you shared it with someone who's in the middle of their own turning point. Remember, no detail is too minor, and the real life moments matter most. I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye.